What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be doing a silly season update on the channel where we'll talk about everything that has happened from the beginning of the season to up to now in the silly season so far. There's a lot to jump into, so let's jump straight into it. Silly season would begin very, very early as Denny Hamlin would announce that he had signed a multi-year extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. Terms had not been disclosed on law and that contract had been announced, but FedEx would also be coming to work with Denny Hamlin as well. Now, at the time, it was not revealed how many races FedEx was going to be sponsoring, but for the first time in Denny Hamlin's career, FedEx would not be sponsoring for the full season. That was the first move. It would be a couple weeks for the next move would happen, and then Mark Truex Jr. announced that he had signed a one-year contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing through the 2022 season. A lot of people speculate that he signed a multi-year extension through 2023, but a lot of people have all said it's been through the 2022 season, so he has signed at least through next year in the 19 car. His opinion will be determined if he will continue racing after next year is the next-gen car. And then would be a little bit before silly season would pick up, and then we'd have another silly season ball. There have been some rumors going around about some potential teams that we'll talk about soon. But GMS Racing revealed in late June around National Weekend that they would be attempting to race in the NASCAR Cup Series for the 2022 season. They had not revealed at the time what their driver was or what manufacturer they'd be running at the time. A lot of speculation had been Chevy, but they would be the next team to make a move for the season. GMS Racing announced their intentions. Then, during the National Weekend at the same time, Alex Bowman, after rumors about him extending a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports, it was officially revealed that Alex Bowman has signed an official contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports through the 2023 season, which is the same time that Ally has their contract with Hendrick Motorsports. Alex Bowman was very, very happy with the contract, and he will be officially returning to the team. Very, very exciting after a strong year with 4 wins, only getting through the round of 12. But getting 4 wins in 2022, 21, excuse me. He'll be looking to have a better year in 2022. Then, during that same weekend as well, Colby Racing revealed that they would have 2 charters for the 2022 season. They'd be taking back the 99 charter from Trackhouse Racing, and they would take 2 charters for that season. Justin Haley would officially go full-time, and A.J. Allmendinger was expected to run part-time with the team as well. The number of races were not disclosed at that certain time, but Colby Racing revealing is not a big surprise. Colby Racing jumping up to the Cup Series next season. During that same day as well, Spire Motors revealed that they actually had taken back the number 99 Trackhouse Racing charter, and they'd be downsizing, at least at the time, to 1-car operation in the 2022 season, with Corey LaJoie driving a 7-car for the team. Makes a lot of sense. Corey LaJoie is an excellent and very, very talented driver. He's going to be a driver that's going to bring a lot to the team next year, and he'll drive the 7-car for Spire Motorsports next season. Then silly season would be a little bit quiet for a little bit, and then a few weeks later, we would see one of the biggest bombshell season moves happen all season. Trackhouse Racing officially revealed that they had officially purchased Chip Ganassi Racing's Cup Series operation. They had acquired both charters and confirmed that Daniel Suarez would be returning to the team at the time. The second driver had not been announced at that current time, but seeing Trackhouse Racing make that move was very, very shocking at the time. It was a massive move, and nobody saw that coming. Definitely a massive move and a great move for the Chip Ganassi Racing organization to get out. Definitely the time to get off your team that's looking to get out of the sport. Definitely the right time to get out, and Chip Ganassi Racing announced that. The next team we're going to talk about is Junior Motorsports. Now, Junior Motorsports at this time has basically been intending, they were maybe looking to jump up to the Cup Series in 2022, but then they said about a week or during, I think, that same week, Junior Motorsports basically said that they were still looking to jump up to the Cup Series in the 2023 season. The main reason is because of the charter money, and as of now, the charter money at the moment costs a lot more, so it definitely makes a lot of sense. In my personal opinion, it makes a lot of sense to wait a little bit longer in regards for a charter. So I'm glad to see Junior Motorsports still intentionally intending to jump up the Cup, but they're halted by the charters right now. Hopefully that changes, and hopefully they will be able to jump up to the Cup Series really, really soon. And then it'd be a little bit before silly season pick up once again. But during the final week before the Olympic break took place, it was officially revealed that Kyle Larson has signed a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports through the 2023 season. Now, he already had a contract through the 2022 season, but he got a 1-year extension. On top of that, HendrickCars.com is actually going to sponsor Kyle Larson for basically a majority of the races, only 1 or 2 races each season for the next 2 years. He'll be sponsored by Valvoline, but he has a contract extension at least for 2 more years, especially after winning the NASCAR Cup Series Championship this year. Makes a lot of sense to keep him on your team. A great driver, absolutely deserves the charter. Congratulations, Kyle Larson, on returning to the team. During that same day as well, speculation began to roam around William Byron and Chase Elliott's future with Hendrick Motorsports. Now, their contracts right now are only going through 2022, but they're working on, Hendrick Motorsports and Rick Hendrick said that they were working on long-time contract extensions at the team. Unclear how long those contract extensions would be, but both drivers were looking to return to Hendrick Motorsports for a long time. And then during the next day, on Friday morning, a couple of big bombshell moves would happen. The first one would be Austin Cindric officially going to the 2-car for Team Penske in the 2022 season. Makes a lot of sense. Austin Cindric is the son of Tim Cindric, who's a competition director of Team Penske and is also the president of Team Penske as well. Guy knows how to get it done and does the IndyCar program. Plus, Austin Cindric won the 2020 NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship, and his select starts in the NASCAR Cup Series was extremely impressive. So it made a lot of sense to return to the team. He's a great driver, and I think he could be a driver that has a really good and surprisingly strong rookie season in 2022. On that same day as well, it was officially revealed that Harrison Burton would be driving the 21 for the Wood Brothers Racing Camp in 2022, with Dex Imaging and a couple of sponsors that in Motorcraft, among others, going with Harrison Burton next season. There was a lot of speculation that started on the Door Bumper Clear Pockets about Harrison Burton going to this team. And a lot of people thought that they were exactly really crazy about this move. But at the same time, when it was announced, I was extremely shocked. But you have to think about it. Dex Imaging has been a sponsor with Harrison Burton throughout his career. Harrison Burton has been a KHI manager, which Kevin Harvick drives for Ford. And also at the same time, going on, Harrison Burton, of course, the Dex Imaging is sponsored the Team Penske Group, so it made a lot of sense to bring Harrison Burton to the team, especially with the new car. I think it's a really good move. And then silly season, we get a little bit quiet, but then there has been so much talk about Ty Gibbs' future in the NASCAR world as of right now. Now, Ty Gibbs is expected to be full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in the 2022 season. Not sure what number he will be in. We know that Ty Gibbs has had interest in running full-time in Xfinity. I do think that Ty Gibbs is a very talented driver, especially after getting 4 wins in 2021. I think he'll be full-time in the 18 car next year. Again, it's not been confirmed where it will be doing next year, but he is expected to run full-time in Xfinity next season. And then after months and months of speculation that started back in May, Brad Keselowski officially revealed that he become the co-owner / driver of Roush Fenway Racing in the 2022 season. He'd be driving a 6-car and would get a minority ownership stake into the organization. Now, Brad Keselowski going to Roush Fenway Racing does kind of make a lot of sense. He's around the same age as Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart was 37 when he jumped over to Stewart-Haas Racing, when he jumped over to Haas to have a partnership with Gene Haas. Brad Keselowski is also a driver that has a lot of experience and a driver that is very underrated and a very talented driver. So going into next year with him going to that team, Brad Keselowski is going to bring a lot to the table for the teams, and I'm very excited about Brad going to the teams. I'm very excited to see what he'll do next season. Pretty much around the same time as well, Brad Keselowski was asked some questions about the next season. And Brad Keselowski basically said that he had interest in starting an Xfinity and or Truck Series team at Roush Fenway Racing for the 2020 in the near future. Now, Brad Keselowski then elaborated a little bit down the road that he was basically talking about maybe having a partnership with Dawson Cram. But Brad Keselowski had expressed interest in potentially bringing back his Truck Series program or Xfinity Series program with Roush Fenway Racing. Roush has not been Xfinity since the 2018 season when they left the team after the 6-car was basically cursed and had a lot of problems. So there was a lot of speculation around that, and maybe we'll get more about the future, but I really would like to see their partnership and program return very soon. And then more speculation started about Taylor Gray's future. Now, Taylor Gray, for a lot of you don't know, was involved in a very bad motorcycle accident that basically sidelined him for a lot of years. But he made his return a while in the Watkins Glen weekend. And basically the DGR team, which of course Taylor Gray's grandfather, Tom Gray, I think that's who it is, or his grandfather, basically is one of the owners of the organization. So it makes a lot of sense for Taylor Gray to basically return and do a partial Truck Series schedule. He had a couple of really impressive runs, but Taylor Gray definitely was some controversy during some of the early ARCA weekends when he made his return. But Taylor Gray is expected to run part-time with DGR next year. Makes a lot of sense, and he'll be back with DGR in there next year. And then you start to hear something really shocking stuff about Trackhouse's long-term future. And Trackhouse Racing says that they have had discussions about a possible entry in the Indianapolis 500 next year. Now, it was unclear at the time how big this partnership would be, if they would have a partnership with one team where they go on their own. I would assume that if they were going to do a partnership, it would be with the Chip Ganassi Racing Camp, or so it would have to be one of their cars, though we actually now know that Honda is not planning to allocate any more engines at the moment, even though there's going to be 5 cars. So maybe they'll have a partnership with one of the cars, but Trackhouse Racing being interested in Indy 500 is something that is definitely, I did not see on the bingo cards for this year. Definitely really interesting moves. Maybe we'll see Trackhouse Indy 500. I think that'd be really, really cool and really, really awesome at the same time. Then, during the Nashville weekend for the IndyCar, basically during around the time the IndyCar weekend for the Nashville race, Rickware Racing basically said that they were planning to have 2 cars in 2022. They originally said maybe we're going to go down to 1 car in 2022, but they're looking to have 2 competitive cars for the 2022 season. A lot of speculation went around on that, but Rickware Racing looking to try to be a little bit more competitive. They had said it for a while that they're looking, especially when the next gen car came around, they were looking to be a little bit more competitive. So something that maybe come down the road that would happen, and maybe we'll see that for next season. And then around that same time, on the week after the National IndyCar weekend, it was officially revealed by Trackhouse Racing that Rss Racing would officially be going to their team in 2022, bringing him into the #1 car for the team. Now, one thing that's very interesting is Rss Racing is not bringing any of his own funding to the team. They're basically going to have enough funding for him. Of course, Trackhouse Racing has a lot of funding, so it definitely makes a lot of sense. But Justin Marks is taking a huge advantage on him going into next year. So Rss Racing will be in the one next year. I can see him definitely being a pretty serious contender for the team. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but he will drive for Trackhouse Racing next season. And then Eric Almirola later in the week basically says that he has a multi-year contract with Rss Racing and he expects to return in 2022. Now, currently at the moment, it's unclear if he will 100% officially return to the team, just because right now Smithfield has not confirmed they're back to the team, though they're expected, as the Smithfield is expected to return to work with them, which is why they have not officially announced it from the SHR camp, though they've not officially announced about Chase Briscoe or Cole Custer. But Eric Almirola is expecting back to the team. Eric Almirola also got that win in New Hampshire, which definitely really will help Eric Almirola down the road, and Eric Almirola is expected to return to SHR next season. Then Haley Deegan was speaking to Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal, and she says she hopes to make her NASCAR Xfinity Series debut in the 2022 season, with hopefully having select starts in Xfinity, with hoping to run once again full-time in the Truck Series in 2022. Now, speculation around that in regards, of course, is Haley Deegan, of course. She's a driver that I think needs a lot more experience in the Truck Series, but her potentially going to Xfinity is definitely something really interesting. What team could she go to, perhaps? Maybe Team Penske, perhaps, but you don't know what's going on with them. Maybe SHR in a second car, perhaps. That's something we have to wait and see, since she's probably going to be going to SHR in some point in her career, potentially racing Kevin Harvick in the Cup Series. That's something we have to wait and see, but she had interest in that. Then, during the Watkins-Glen weekend, there were some really interesting rumblings that started coming out at the time, with 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports about potentially emerging in the 2022 season. Now, at the time, there were speculation around that they were potentially going to switch over to Toyota Front Row Motorsports, be that potential team from maybe Chevy or Ford that was going to switch over to Toyota. But we'll talk about 2111 and Front Row and their merger later in the episode. But they were possibly merging for the 2022 season, taking one of their cars and giving a charter over to, you guessed it, another driver we'll talk about really, really soon here, very soon. But very interesting about that merger. It's something that was going on. A lot of people, including myself, made multiple videos on this possible merger. It was a very big deal and something that was possibly going to happen for 2022. And then after the Watkins-Glen weekend, it was officially revealed that Josh Berry would finally be going full-time in Xfinity and be driving the 8 car for Junior Motorsports in the 2022 season. Makes a lot of sense. Josh Berry had an incredible Xfinity Series season. He got 2 wins in the year, including picking up a win in Martinsville and picking up a win in Las Vegas in the 1 car. Definitely made a lot of sense, and Josh Berry back in the 8 car next year. Absolutely deserves it. Did really, really well at Junior Motorsports. He'll be in the 8 car next season. Then, a day or two later, it was officially revealed that Carson Osbar would be returning to the 42 for Nice Motorsports in the 2022 season. Carson Osbar, I think, is a very, very talented driver, and Nice Motorsports this year really has been down. Their performances have not been great. However, Carson Osbar was able to make the playoffs here and actually got to the round of 8 and almost actually had a chance to make it to the championship four, which would have been very, very surprising, and almost picked up his first career NASCAR Camping World Truck Series victory in multiple starts. So that was something that was really, really good to see that he was coming back in the team. He deserves it, and he'll probably be a champion contender in the Truck Series next season. Then I believe it was during the Michigan weekend, Jesse Woods revealed that he'd be forming an Xfinity Series team in 2022 with Emmitt Smith, and they'd be called Jesse Woods Motorsports. Now, manufacturers and drivers have not been announced. It's unclear if Jesse Woods will be the driver. Really haven't gotten any updates in regards to that since that August day in the Michigan weekend. But really cool to see Jesse Woods forming a team. I am a fan of Jesse Woods, not as much as a driver, but what he's done for this country. So hope he does get an opportunity, and maybe he'll drive the car, but maybe they'll get another driver to drive the car. That's something we're going to have to wait and see on. And then on the Sunday of the Michigan race, it was officially revealed, I think it was actually the Indy weekend, that Erik Jones would be returning to Richard Petty Motorsports in the 2022 season in the illustrious number 43 car. Makes a lot of sense. Erik Jones is a really, really talented driver, knows how to get it done. And again, he didn't have as good of a year, though he was able to get a respectful 6 top 10s in the season with Richard Petty Motorsports. So that was really, really cool to see. And he'll be returning to Richard Petty Motorsports next year, hoping to build on a pretty decent year with Richard Petty Motorsports. 6 top 10s is not that bad for a team that lost a lot of their funding. And then there was a lot of speculation around Kyle Larson potentially having some interest in running the Indianapolis 500. Robin Miller, who basically unfortunately passed away during around that time, his last dying wish was to have Kyle Larson run in a Team Penske IndyCar. And basically Roger Penske during the BC39 Nationals, which of course Kyle Larson won that event, there was speculation around that potentially happening. So maybe that'll happen next year, and speculation around Kyle Larson maybe running that. I think it'd be really, really awesome, and I think it'd be really cool if that happens, but maybe that'll happen next year. And then it would basically go around the Daytona weekend, Michigan weekend. We get a confirmation about Jack Wood as he be announced as the first official driver to be going to GMS Racing in the Truck Series, as he be driving a 24 for GMS Racing in 2022. Jack was in part of the Driver's Edge program for the Chevy camp, so it makes a lot of sense for Jack Wood to be on the team. I think Jack Wood had not a really great year, but him being back at the team does not surprise me one bit whatsoever. He'll be back at the team next year, and he'll drive the 24 for GMS Racing next season. And then at the time, the biggest secret was finally officially revealed that Kurt Busch would officially be going to 2311 Racing in 2022 in the number 45 car, and it was revealed on the Saturday and after the announced on Friday that it would be a multi-year deal with that team. Makes a ton of sense for Kurt Busch to go over. He has a lot of veteran presence and a lot of veteran experience, a championship caliber driver. And I think going into next year, especially in a new car, I think Kurt Busch is going to bring a lot to the table for the 2311 camp next season. I'm extremely excited about this, and Kurt Busch is going over the team, and also excited about some of the other stuff that was going on with that organization. So Kurt Busch coming back to the team, extremely exciting, extremely really fun, and I'm happy to see Kurt Busch is officially going to 2311 in 2022, who's actually been testing the next-gen car, as a matter of fact. So really cool to see that he'll be at the team next year. Really, really exciting. Then silly season would be quiet for just a second, and then we would see another bombshell move happen during the weekend of Darlington for the playoffs, as Tommy Joe Martins and Cesar Baccarello officially revealed that they have formed a new team called Alpha Prime Racing. Tommy Joe Martins is expected to run 10 to 15 races, and Roger Group is going to run at least 3 races, though there is a possible potential that we could see more races come from that team next season. I've been a big fan of Tommy Joe Martins. I'm extremely excited about this partnership. There's actually more we'll talk about in regards to Alpha Prime Racing, but I think his team has a lot of potential, and they have a great future going into next season. And then at the same time, it was official, I think, the next day, that Nick Sanchez and Roger Kroof would officially be running full-time for Rev Racing in the ARCA Series in 2022. Both guys have a lot of talent. Nick Sanchez actually won the final race in ARCA this year at Kansas. The guy knows how to get it done. He's been very, very solid in ARCA this year, in this past year. And he'll be looking to also potentially run an Xfinity next year, which we'll talk about very, very soon. But both of them are going to be back at the team. Both absolutely deserves it. Rev Racing's done a great job keeping their drivers back. Siegel's done a great job. And we'll see both of those drivers back at the team in Rev Racing next year. And then around that same time, it was officially revealed after speculation around Noah Gragson that he would officially be driving the number 9 for Junior Motorsports in the 2022 season with, of course, all the sponsors that he has had, Bass Pro Shops and Black Rifle Coffee, sponsoring once again in 2022. No, Grayson absolutely 100% deserves to be back with the team. He started really performing extremely well. As soon as that contract extension got announced, it was really, really cool to see his performance really take a major step forward. Was able to get the championship for and got 3 wins, which is the most he's had in a single season, and was able to make the championship for. Really excited to see he's back with Junior Motorsports. I do hope as if Junior Motorsports does jump up the cup, I do hope that they do take Noah Grayson. I think that'd be really, really cool and really, really fun to see. But he'll be back with Junior Motorsports in 2022. And then around the same time, we would see a kind of not so surprising move as JT Doherty Racing officially revealed that they'd be downsizing to a one-car operation in the 2022 season. The driver had not been announced at the time, but we had a confirmation that Ryan Preece would not be returning to the team for the 2022 season, which means the other drivers talk about here in a little bit would be returning to the team. JT Doherty Racing focusing on one car for next year, for this upcoming season, makes a ton of sense, and it's a good move, in my opinion, for them to downsize to one car, especially since that second car is an uncharted car. Makes a ton of sense, in my honest opinion, to do this. And then around that same time, there was some speculation that started going around about Starcom Racing potentially selling their charter to Spire Motorsports for the 2022 season. Starcom Racing, basically at the time, they've not been a team that's really been performing. There have been also some rumors back months ago at the time about them potentially selling their team to another organization like a Chip Ganassi Racing, perhaps, at that given moment. But Starcom Racing at the time, we don't know what their plan, we don't know what is going on at the time for them, but they revealed that they had sold their charter for the season at that given moment. And then around the time, we would hear some reports about Beer Motorsports as they would be announced that they'd be returning to in 2022 the Cup Series with the 62 team, and they would also run Tampa Daytona 500 and also run other Daytona and Talladega races in the 2022 season. Driver had not been announced at that time, but it was really cool to see that Beer Motorsports was going to be coming back for 2022. It's great to see these smaller teams come in, and at least they'll run the super speedway races in 2022. And then we would finally get some confirmation on the young Colby Howard as he revealed that he'd be returning to, actually be going to Mackinelli Hilgeman Racing in the 2022 season. I really think that Colby Howard's a talented driver. He's just been really held back so far driving for JD Motorsports. JD Motorsports, when they expanded to a 3-car operation, I thought that move was absolutely not the best move overall for the team. So that's really cool to see that he'll be returning to the team next season. Really excited about that, and great to see he'll be going to the team. Along with that, Derek Cross is expected to return to Mackinelli Hilgeman Racing in 2022 in the 19 car. He's had kind of an interesting season, but hopefully going next year he'll do better. He's expected to return to the team. I like Derek Cross a lot. I think he has a lot of talent. He's just had an up and down year as a driver, and hopefully going to 2022 he can do much better. And then Morgan Shepard, I think during the second week of the playoffs, he basically spoke to Brock Beard, as Brock Beard actually asked about the team. And he says that Shepard Ventures Racing is still trying to gather funding for the 2022 season, as practice qualifying is expected to return. They have not been in NASCAR since the middle of 2020, so they're hoping to come back next year. They're going to need funding if they're going to want to do that, so hopefully we do get to see Shepard Ventures Racing make their return next year. I think it'll be really, really cool to happen. I think it'll be great for the sport, and hopefully we'll see Shepard Ventures Racing return next season. And then during the next week, Justin Allgaier officially revealed that he'd be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2022 in the 7-car. Makes a lot of sense. Justin Allgaier has been in Junior Motorsports since 2016, and Kelly Earnhardt is on the board of brand directors for Brandt. Makes a ton of sense to keep Justin Allgaier in the team. The guy's always been a championship contender. I think I like him a lot, and I'm really happy to say that he'll be returning to the team next season. On that same day, it was officially revealed that Sheldon Creed would be returning to, actually moving up from the Truck Series to GMS Racing, actually up to the Xfinity Series to RSR Racing in 2022. The number had not been announced for him at that time, but it was revealed that he would be going to the number 2 car with Villain Engineering. That was announced during the Charlotte Roval weekend, right before the Xfinity Series race took place. Sheldon Creed, in my opinion, has been ready to jump up to the next respective series, so I'm really happy to see that he'll be jumping there. I think he's a championship contender right off the bat. I think he's going to do really, really well, and he'll be in the 2 car for RSR and Xfinity in 2022. And then Ronnie Childers revealed on Twitter that a while back that he had signed a contract extension as crew chief at Rss Racing for many years to come. It had not been revealed at the time that he had signed with Kevin Harvick. Now, we'll talk about Kevin Harvick here in just a little bit. But Ronnie Childers 100% coming back makes a ton of sense. I know he had a down year in 2021, but let's be for real. SHR in general had a down year. So I'm really happy to see that Ronnie Childers is going to be returning to the team as a crew chief. He's a great crew chief in my opinion. And I think he'll do a great job crew chief for Kevin Harvick next year, especially with talent being a thing. I think he'll bring a lot to the table next year. And then on Race Hub, it was officially revealed that Seven Parsons would be returning to BG McCall Motorsports on a full-time basis in 2022. Seven Parsons has never, I don't believe, has ever raced on a full-time basis in NASCAR in any top-tier divisions, so because of funding. So it's good to see Sokol Digital has stepped up to the plate, and he'll be working full-time with BG McCall Motorsports. I think Seven has a lot of talent. Of course, being the son of Phil Parsons, the guy knows how to get it done. I think he's a very, very talented driver, and I do believe that next year he'll be a great driver for the team. And then Daniel Hamrick had basically begun to talk about his potential future with multiple reporters. Well, Daniel Hamrick, it was officially revealed right before the Las Vegas, I think it was right around the time before the Las Vegas race, that Daniel Hamrick was officially going to be driving the number 11 for Colleague Racing in 2022. Now, Daniel Hamrick has jumped to multiple teams, and there was a joke about at the time that he couldn't win a race, but now we know that he's a NASCAR Xfinity Series champion and got his first career NASCAR Xfinity Series win along with winning the Xfinity Series championship. He'll be taking the place of Justin Healy, of course, is jumping up to the Cup Series next season. So he'll be going to that team. I think he's going to bring a lot to the team, and he's a driver that knows how to get it done. So that is extremely exciting. He will be driving the 11 next year. Really, really fun for the team. And then the early portions of the next week, Team Penske would officially reveal their 2022 Cup Series crew chief lineup. Jerry Bones would be crew chiefing for Austin Cindric. Jonathan Hassler would be crew chief for Ryan Blaney, and Paul Wolfe would be the crew chief for Joey Logano next season. Jerry Bones will basically once again be back in the 2 car. He's been crew chief for Brad Keselowski the last couple of years. Makes a lot of sense as Brad's going to be moving over to Roush next year. That makes a ton of sense right there. Jonathan Hassler moving over from the 21 car as a crew chief over to work with the 12. Jonathan Hassler in 2021 had helped out Matt DiBenedetto's performance improve in some slight ways, helped him do a little bit better, and he did a really good job as a crew chief over there. So they're bringing him in, makes a lot of sense, and he did really well, especially when he was a crew chief part-time with Team Penske. Of course, when multiple other crew chiefs were out for COVID-19 protocols, he was in there to substitute for them, so he'll be the other crew chief. And then Paul returning Joey Logano makes a lot of sense. Paul will spend the crew chief for Joey Logano at least for the last 2 seasons. Makes no sense to really remove them and take them out together. Makes no sense to remove them, so those are really going to be the crew chiefs for Team Penske next season. And then later in that same week around the Vegas weekend, it was revealed that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would be officially returning to JC Doherty Racing in the 2022 season in the 47 car. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I know a lot of people give him a lot of jokes, but let's be for real, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. definitely has redeemed himself as a driver in my eyes, and I'm really happy to see that he's going to be returning to that team next year. I think he'll bring a lot to the table. He's got a lot of talent and has got a lot of potential to do great things next year, so he'll be in the 47 next year in 2022, but I believe his contract only does go through the 2022 season. And then there was a campaign that started out about Todd Bodine trying to get his final 6 starts to reach 800 career NASCAR starts in the top 3 divisions. And they raised enough money from Camping World, and now we are expecting that Todd Bodine will attempt 6 more starts in the 2022 season. Unclear what tracks he'll run for and what team he'll run for. Probably some military team like a Nice Motorsports perhaps. But Todd Bodine expected to run 6 starts in 2022. That's extremely exciting, really, really awesome. And I'm glad to see that Todd Bodine will try to get to 800 starts next year. And then on October 1st, during the Friday, GMS Racing around 5 p.m. Eastern and 4:30 p.m. Eastern, they officially revealed that Grant Enfinger will become the 2nd driver at GMS Racing's Truck Series program in 2022 in the 23 car with, of course, Champions Power Equipment that sponsored him when he was at Thorsport. He'll be over there. He'll be there with the team for the next couple seasons in 2022 and 2023. A driver that has a lot of veteran experience with the organization. Makes a lot of sense to bring him into the organization. Really excited about that. I think he's going to bring a lot to the team, and he's going to help that young driver, Jack Wood. Now, GMS Racing, we know right now that they're only planning to run only either 2 or 3 full-time cars in their Truck Series program next year. So that's really, really cool to see that Grant Enfinger will be with the team next season. And then during that same weekend as well, Austin Hill revealed that he would not be returning to Hattori Racing in 2022. Now, he would eventually get a really, really good ride for next year. He wanted to move up to the Xfinity Series, but after a couple really solid years with Hattori Racing in 2019 and 2020 and 2021, he got a couple wins in 2021, though unfortunately got eliminated in the round of 10. But he will be back, unfortunately, now return to Hattori Racing. Unclear who the driver is going to be at this time, but he will not return to Hattori Racing in 2022. And then there was some speculation that started going on about Corey Heim's future, as multiple people have said that Corey Heim is expected to be in the Camping World Truck Series in the 2022 season. Now, I'll talk about Corey Heim for a second. He had a really impressive ARCA season in 2021, where he got 6 wins, finishing second in points, 2 Ty Gibbs, after Ty Gibbs had a really, really impressive season when he went on to win the ARCA Championship. Corey Heim, unclear. A lot of people speculate maybe Hattori Racing or maybe Kyle Busch Motorsports on a part-time basis. We don't really know what's going on with that team for next season, but he's expected to jump up to the trucks next year. Good driver, deserves it, and he'll be a great driver in trucks next season. And then there's some speculation from IndyStar reporter Tony Donahue about Marco Andretti, as Tony Stewart says he has interest in fielding a second SHR Xfinity Series Ford for Marco Andretti in select races in 2022. Marco Andretti had basically said during the SCRX break when they were having their media days that he had said that he was looking to be interested in potentially running in the series in NASCAR next year and had a partnership he's working on to run the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Makes a ton of sense. Tony Stewart, of course, also runs the SRX along with running SHR. So Marco Andretti might be running in NASCAR. I think it'll be really cool if he does have an opportunity to race in NASCAR next season. And then a few days later, it was officially revealed that Michael Annett will be retiring from full-time competition in NASCAR in 2022. Michael Annett's been with Junior Motorsports since the 2016 or 2017 season, but he's basically had leg injuries. He did come back after his injuries and race the final few races, but unfortunately retired from full-time racing, though he has said that he may run on a part-time basis and run only maybe up to 5 races, but may not be out of NASCAR 100% completely, but he will not be back running full-time in NASCAR at all in 2022. And then, it was officially revealed by Brett Griffin that he would be spotting full-time at Kaulig Racing in 2022. He'll spot for Daniel Hamrick in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and spot for Justin Haley in the Cup Series. Man, that was a really, really quick break for Brett Griffin. Brett Griffin had been spotting a lot for Clint Boyer, spotted for Jeff Burton back in the day. The guys know how to get it done as a spotter. I know he's been very, very controversial on his podcast, but he's a guy who knows how to get it done as a spotter. He'll be spotting once again for both of those people in 2022. And then, a little bit later in the week, Big Machine Racing revealed that they had announced an enhanced partnership with Richard Childress Racing, with Jay Buford returning to the organization. They actually moving in toward the RCR facility in their camp, and they will get engines from RCR, which will really help the team. I'm really excited about this team, and I'm glad to see that they are getting this partnership. I think it overall is a massive and a major, major deal, and I'm really happy about this as well. And then during the Charlotte Roval weekend, we would see, there was a rumor a while back that Raymond Brothers Racing was potentially going to be jumping up to the Cup Series. Well, they're doing it. Team Hesburgh is going to be joining the Cup Series in 2022. Tony Berg, Ernest Berg, and Tony Hesburgh will be basically owning the organization, and they will have a and they will have a partnership with Rayoum, with Tony Hasman's son, Laurice Hasmans, who is a NASCAR Whelen Euro champion, will be driving the car on the road course program. They've been testing the car, and Jacques Villeneuve is also going to be driving for the team as well. Now, they are not going to be a full-time team, as they will only run a select few races, but eventually they may attempt to run a charter program nearly down the road. But this is really exciting. Great to see a new team in the organization, and I'm really happy about this overall for sure, that they are joining NASCAR Cup Series competition. Even though it's only on a part-time basis, this is still really exciting. On the same day that Team Hesburgh announcement happened, it was officially revealed that GMS Racing would be going full-time Cup Series racing in 2022, with Ty Dillon driving their car on a full-time basis in 2022 in the number 94 car. There's a history behind that, as Mike Beam, who used to basically, I think, be the crew chief for Bill Elliott when Bill Elliott Racing was around, he'll be the crew chief, basically one of the main team managers, and they will have an alliance at RCR as well. Now, currently, they do not have a charter at the moment, but it is believed that they're probably going to get a charter from Rick Ware Racing, but they'll be joining the Cup Series on a full-time basis next season. Really, really exciting, really, really cool. Big news to see a team like GMS Racing jump up to the Cup Series. It's really, really big for the series, and I'm really happy about this overall for sure. Then on that same thing, it was officially revealed that Rss Racing had formed a technical alliance with SHR through the 2022 and 2023 seasons, and they will also be getting Roush Yates engines as well. This will be the first time that Rss has had a major partnership with a company, and in my opinion, I think it's a big move for the company as well. See that Rss is actually forming a legitimate technical alliance. I know that we joke about Rss Racing a lot, but let's be real, if Rss can actually be really competitive, I think it'll be overall really exciting for the sport. So really excited to see it for sure. The Rss Racing will be getting a technical alliance at SHR. I think it's great and overall, it's really good news for sure. And then a couple days later, it was officially revealed that Jeb Burton would not be returning to College Racing in 2022 due to Nurturing Ag Solutions dropping their sponsorship around the Talladega weekend. Now, one thing that good news for Jeb Burton fans is Jeb Burton is looking still likely to have a ride in NASCAR's Xfinity Series next year, but the fact he's not returning to College Racing is definitely unfortunate. But he won't be back in College, but he's expected to have another ride next year. Then silly season was quiet for a couple days, and then we have a couple really big silly season moves that happened. Mackinelli Hillman Racing announced that they would begin fielding Chevys in 2022. The Mackinelli team has been with Toyota for such a long time, had a partnership with them. We're moving away from Toyotas, and we'll be fielding Chevys starting in 2022. Colby Howard, we already know, is going to be driving for the team next year, and expected as Derek Cross will drive the other car. This also means that the Toyota development program, they're going to have to find something else for the ARCA West program since Mackinelli's been in their program for quite a bit. I assume that there's going to be some changes in regards to that. Their program, the Toyota program they were looking to plan for next year did not get approved, and they are going to be fielding Chevys next season. And then around the same day, it was officially revealed that John Hunter Nemechek would be returning to Kyle Busch Motorsports in 2022 in the number 4 truck. I was very shocked that he wasn't going full-time Xfinity. I think it would have been really awesome to see him go full-time Xfinity, but John Hunter going back to trucks, he'll actually be looking for his first Truck Series championship in 2022. He's a great driver, has a lot of talent, and I'm happy at least he'll be racing in NASCAR next season. Happy about this overall for sure. And then a day or two later, I think it was on Friday, it was officially revealed that Liberty University signed a contract extension through 2026 with Hendrick Motorsports, which means very likely that William Byron will have a contract with Hendrick Motorsports through 2026. Now, there has been some controversy around Liberty University, perhaps, and things may change, but Rick Hendrick is still sticking with Liberty University. They're not really letting it kind of, fortunately, take away from what William Byron's been able to accomplish, and they have signed a big contract extension. I think this will keep William Byron with the team through 2026. They will have a contract with Hendrick Motorsports through 2026. And then around the next week or so, we all thought 2011 Front Row was going to have a partnership. Well, that deal we talked about a little bit ago unfortunately fell through around the time. I think it was about a week after the Talladega stuff happened. Unfortunately, the deal fell through for that to happen. Denny Hamlin was not entirely very happy with that. It was actually about to happen. They basically said the charter was secure. And then at the last second, Front Row apparently had probably someone that was going to fund their second car because unfortunately, that deal fell through. That was definitely surprising. It looks like Front Row will remain a 2-car operation next year. In 2311, still at this moment right now, was looking for a charter. And then a few days later, on the Tuesday or Wednesday, it was revealed that Brandon Jones will be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing's number 19 the Xfinity Series in 2022, with Jeff Menery being the crew chief and Menard sponsoring him for the full season in 2022. Brandon Jones has been in the Xfinity Series. I think now this will be his 7th full-time NASCAR Xfinity Series season. His first full-time season, I believe, was in 2016. So he'll be back in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. Hey, if you bring a lot of funding, it's definitely going to help. I was very intrigued to see if he was going to go up the Cup next year, but he'll be back in the Xfinity Series next year in 2022. And then later on that same evening, I believe, it was officially revealed that Phil Sturgill would be crew chief and for Rss Racing once again at Trackhouse Racing. They've worked together last year when Ross jumped into to their camp. He's been the crew chief at that car really with Matt Kenseth too. So he'll be working with Rss Racing. Phil Sturgill will be. Does not shock me. Pretty cool to see that he'll be back with them next year. I'm really happy about this for sure, and I'm really happy to see that he will be returning to their organization next year. I think it's really exciting. Really cool. And I'm really happy about this for sure, that he'll be back with their team next year. And then at Austin Hill, then after that, we are going to talk about RSS Racing, as RSS Racing has officially revealed that they have formed a technical alliance with Stewart-Haas Racing, Roush Yates Engines, and a multi-car team. They're upgrading their team for next year. Also, CMR Construction will be sponsoring their team for the whole season next year, which is really exciting. I believe that there are 2 cars that will be both for the brothers. Kyle and Ryan Sieg will probably be both for the drivers that are driving for the team. I think this is really exciting. Really, really cool. And I'm happy about this for sure. And then on the next day, on the Friday afternoon, it was officially revealed that Austin Hill would become the second driver in the Xfinity Series at RCR. Unclear what the number will be. It'll either be the 3 or the 21. But Austin will be driving for RCR in 2022. This is extremely exciting. I think he absolutely deserves this opportunity. The guy knows how to get it done. He's done a great job so far, and respectively throughout his career, he did great with the Tory Racing. And I'm excited to see that he will be with their team next year. And then during the Truck Series race, I believe it was around the time of Martinsville or later in the year, Sage Karam says he's been looking to potentially run full-time in NASCAR and stock car racing for the 2022 season. Now, Sage Karam, of course, has come from the IndyCar world, so it definitely is a little bit shocking that he has interest to come into the NASCAR side of things. But to have an IndyCar guy come potentially do what Santino Ferrucci did, to come in NASCAR, I think is really, really exciting. Really, really cool. And maybe it'll happen next year, but we're not entirely sure, to be honest with you. And then on that same day, it was officially revealed that Daniel Dye will be driving for GMS's ARCA team full-time in the 2022 season. Now, of course, Daniel Dye has been with their team this past year, and he has some pretty decent stats as a whole, and contended for a couple wins as well. Daniel Dye, I think, has a chance to win the championship. He'll be running the full program. Again, ARCA has a little bit of work it needs to get done to fix the series overall right now, but to have Daniel Dye coming into the team and GMS Racing, absolutely deserved, absolutely right, justified, and I'm really happy about this for sure. Then it'd be a little bit before silly season picked up again, but it was officially revealed after the Martinsville weekend that Andy Lally will be driving for Alpha Prime Racing in 2022, and he'll run all the road courses for them, the 6 road courses that are for the Alpha Prime camp. He will drive for them. I think Andy Lally is going to be a really good asset, especially a driver that can bring a lot to the table for a team like Alpha Prime Racing, help their program in the road course side of things, help other drivers get a lot of pointers. I think Andy Lally will bring a lot to the team next year. I'm very excited to see that he's going to be with the team. I think again, it's a huge move for the team, and I'm happy about this for sure. And then around a time, I think it was revealed about a week before, that Dean Thompson will be running full-time at Nice Motorsports in 2022. He made his Truck Series debut at Phoenix, but he will be going full-time with Nice next year. Definitely helps. He has a lot of funding, but at the same time, it doesn't shock me either. He's with this team. He had one start in the team, and I think he had a pretty respective results from that. So he'll be back with the team full-time next year. Really, really cool. He's the second driver that was confirmed. And then with the huge news cycle that really came out in the final week for Championship Week, it was officially revealed that Matt McCall will be crew chiefing for Brad Keselowski in the 2022 season. Matt McCall has been the crew chief for Kurt Busch, and now will be transitioning over to work with Brad Keselowski at the new RFK Racing. But Matt McCall, I think, is going to bring a lot to the table. He's a very excellent and very, very great crew chief, and I think he overall will help this team going into next season and help Brad Keselowski really gel right from the get-go. So I'm extremely excited about this for sure, that Matt McCall will be the crew chief for Brad Keselowski next season. Then about a week later, it was officially revealed that Maya Setter would be going full-time with Jordan Anderson Racing in 2022 in the number 31 car. RCR apparently had tried to get in contact with as many teams from the RCR camp. They wanted to keep him because, remember, Jordan Anderson Racing does have a technical alliance with our Richard Childress Racing. So it definitely overall does make a lot of sense as a whole that he's going to be with the team. He didn't have an incredible rookie season, first full year for RCR. I thought he'd do a little bit better than he did, but let's be real. I think going somewhere where he can be the sole focus of the team, because I don't think they're going to be a two-car team where he can be a sole focus, I think it's great. It will help him out, and it will be great overall for him. And then it was official a few days later that Lawless Allen would be driving the 45 truck for Nice Motorsports full-time in 2022. I'll be honest, he was not impressive at Phoenix. He was not really impressive, so I'm not really looking forward to see him drive that car, and that's really no offense to Lawless Allen, but he really wasn't that impressive to me, so I'm not really entirely looking forward to see what he'll do. I think the goal is just try to get experience because, again, he is a young driver who doesn't have a ton of experience, but I got to see a little bit more out of him. Hopefully, he'll be able to do that going to team. But I'll be honest, I'm not really looking forward to that. And then on that same day as well, AJ Allmendinger revealed that he'd be likely running 12 to 15 Cup Series races in 2022. Now, this is a little shocking. He's going to be more races than we thought. I thought he would only running maybe 6 to 10 races. The fact that he may run nearly half the season this year is really, really cool. AJ, I think, will probably run a couple of intermediate tracks. He'll probably run, of course, maybe some of the new tracks like Gateway, perhaps. But he'll also probably run a lot of the road courses as well. So I think this is really, really cool that he'll run at least a select number of Cup Series races next year. We expected some, but I didn't expect to see that many. So this is really, really awesome. I'm glad to see that he will be likely running a lot of Cup races next year. And then one of the biggest kept secrets was officially revealed on Friday afternoon. Starcom Racing confirmed that they would be officially shutting down and they would be selling their charter to a team for next season. Starcom Racing, of course, has been a team that's been in the Cup Series for a couple years. It was basically, there's a lot of behind the scenes that went on with Starcom Racing to the team they officially have sold at this moment. But Starcom Racing shutting down does not surprise me. They were thinking about running part-time next year, but unfortunately the finances they were not viable for the Starcom Racing camp. So they unfortunately have shut down. They will not be back in 2022. They had a next-gen car they were testing, but I guess that potentially to the team they're going to potentially go to, that's where it all went through. So Starcom Racing confirmed they're shutting down. Not a surprise right there. And then right after the Truck Series race concluded, Junior Joyner basically confirmed that he will not be crew chiefing for Matt Crafton in the 2022 season. Now, Matt Crafton, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but definitely interesting that Junior Joyner is not going to be crew chiefing. In fact, he's not crew chiefing at all in NASCAR next year. So before you speculate maybe he's going somewhere else, he won't be crew chiefing at all in 2022. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens long-term for this, but he will not be crew chief for Matt Crafton next season. And then right after the Cup Series race, Freddie Kraft revealed that he'd be continuing the spot for Bubba Wallace in 2022. Bubba Wallace been made a little bit of a lighthearted joke that Freddie Kraft was coming back, but they have a pretty good relationship. They've worked together for a couple years, especially at Rich Freddie Motorsports. So we'll be back with him. No surprise there. Freddie Kraft will be working as fodder for Bubba Wallace next year. And then right after the season concluded, the first silly season announcement was made. Jeff Earnhardt would not be returning to JD Motorsports in 2022, as he'll be looking to be in a much more competitive position next season. Now, Jeff Earnhardt has not really been entirely that competitive so far in his career since his return to Xfinity. He drove in 2019 for Joe Gibbs Racing, then he went to JD Motorsports, and his performances have not been impressive. But just like for Colby Howard, I don't think the JD Motorsports team is as good as they used to be. So what I'm really hoping in regards to Jeff Earnhardt is he can find somewhere good to go to. Maybe he goes to college, perhaps. We really don't know at the moment, but Jeff Earnhardt's not returning to JD Motorsports. And then on the next day, actually the same day, as a matter of fact, it was revealed that Anthony Alfredo would not be returning to Ferro Motorsports in 2022, as it looks like Ferro Motorsports will have another driver for next season. Ferro will be a two-car team in their Cup Series program. Their Truck Series program is really unclear at the moment of what's going on there. That may bring Todd Gilliland up to the Cup Series. We know that Michael McDowell's going to be back in the team, but Anthony Alfredo, he really did not have an impressive rookie year, so it does not entirely shock me that he's not returning to the team. And Anthony Alfredo will be not returning to Ferro Motorsports in 2022. Then I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday that it was revealed that Alan Hart will be crew chiefing for Samhain Racing in 2022. Alan Hart has been the engineer for Junior Motorsports and Justin Allgaier at that team, so it's unclear who will be the engineer for that team next year. But he'll be going to Samhain Racing. I think this is a big pickup for the Samhain Racing team, as I think it would be the team that should be taken more seriously. He's also going to be the competition director for the team. So this team will probably be coming in to prove that they can be taken more seriously than they have been. And then it was officially revealed that next day that Dave Ellens would be crew chiefing for Eric Jones next season in 2022. It was announced about previous week during Media Day that Dave Ellens would not be returning to work with Noah Gragson. Then he had Dustin Albino report that Dave Ellens is most likely going to be going to work with Rich Freddie Motorsports and Eric Jones. Great pickup, in my opinion. I think he's going to do great as a crew chief next year, and he will be the crew chief for Eric Jones next season. And then it was officially revealed with all the announcements for the Roush and moving everybody in, that TJ Maters would be coming over with Brad Keselowski from Team Penske, and he would be spotting for Brad Keselowski in 2022. Great pickup. TJ Maters is an excellent spotter. I know he's been extremely controversial in the Door Bumper Clear podcast, but I will give this to TJ Maters. He's a great spotter, absolutely deserves to be there, and I'm glad to see that he will be spotting for Brad Keselowski next year. And then on Wednesday morning, it was officially revealed that Brian Wilson would be crew chiefing for Harrison Burton in the 2022 season, which means the Xfinity Series program for Team Penske, we'll talk about in a second, is a little bit in jeopardy. But Brian Wilson's been a solid crew chief in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I think the time was right to move him up. I think he's going to do good next year, and I'm really excited about this. He will be crew chiefing next year for Harrison Burton. Speaking of which, on the same day, Team Penske basically says that their Xfinity Series program is to be determined right now. I'll be honest, I think there's a good chance their Xfinity Series program will not be around. If they do have one around, it will not be with a full-time driver next year. It most likely will not be the case. So their Xfinity Series program's up in the air. We don't know what's going on with that right now. Maybe we'll find out a driver soon. Who knows? But that is what's going on in regards to that front. And then on that same day, it was after Dave Allen's taking over the crew chief spot for Jerry Baxter. Jerry Baxter is going to be crew chief for Tanner Gray in 2022. Jerry Baxter going back to where he's been a lot of his career. Jerry Baxter is 63 years old, so he is one of the oldest crew chiefs currently in NASCAR at this particular moment. But Jerry Baxter does bring a lot to the table, so he'll be working with them. Plus, Tanner Gray finally have solidified crew chief. Last year he had 6 crew chiefs, so the fact that he's only going to have 1 next year makes a lot more sense to keep 1 throughout the entire season. Will help their team next year. He'll crew chief for Tanner Gray in 2022. And then a day later, it was revealed that Motorsports Racing revealed 2 of their drivers for next season. Ben Rose, 2021 NASCAR Truck Series champion, and Matt Crafton will be returning to the team. No shock right there. Unclear who the other 2 drivers are going to be, but Alan Thorson or his wife basically confirmed this. Really good pickup to keep both those drivers. They absolutely deserve to be there. Those are the 2 drivers that are coming back to Motorsports Racing. No surprise right there. They've been with the team for a long time. I would not be shocked if Ty Majeski gets one of the rides and Christian Eckes gets one of the rides. I think Johnny Sutter has a chance of leaving the team, but we'll wait for the official confirmation from those respective parties. And then on the same day, it was revealed that Ryan Elst would be going to Alpha Prime Racing on a part-time basis in the 2022 season. Ryan Elst has been making sled starts for a lot of other teams, including BG McLeod Motorsports, and of course, he does have funding from Rich Mars Florida, which has helped him throughout his entire career. So he's going to be running part-time. I think he'll do very, very well next year in his sled starts. I believe that he will run 5 starts in the 2022 season. So he's going to do good next year, in my opinion. I'm really excited about where he's going next year. I'm very excited. And then on the next day, about a week later, I'm exaggerating there, it was revealed that Josh Williams would not be returning to DGM Racing in 2022. Now, it's very, very shocking because he's been with DGM Racing for 5 years now. Now, there is some speculation about him maybe going over to the 10 car next year in 2022. He will be back in Xfinity Series full-time next year. He said an announcement should be coming before December 1st. So within the next 2 weeks, we should know what's going on with him, and that might be talked about here later on the channel. But I like him a lot. He's got a lot of talent. I hope he does end up getting a good ride next year. Dave basically said they're going to have probably 2 cars going to 2022, but unclear who those 2 drivers would be. And then on that same day as well, I know we said on that day as well, but Riley Herbst has been officially revealed, and J-Ski reported this too, that Riley Herbst will be returning to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2022 in the 98, and Monster Energy will be coming over with the team as well. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of this move. I really don't like Riley Herbst. The guy is not a very talented driver, to be honest with you. He's not really done much in his career. And I don't think he's going to do much again next year. I think he has to win. He needs to win a race. He's not done much, but he'll be back at SHR next year. And then it was officially revealed at the same time. And Tommy Joe had an interview with Michael Carey, who works for the Toby Christie Network. And he says that Alpha Prime Racing is planning to run a 2nd car part-time in 2022 on super speedways and probably also road courses as well. This probably means in any level we'll get into those road course races, and we'll probably have 2 races with guys like Roger Kroof getting opportunities among other drivers. That's really cool to see that Alpha Prime is looking to the future and looking at the future. Really, really big move in my opinion. Happy about this for sure, and I'm glad to see that they're looking to run 2 cars next year. And then 2311 Racing announced a ton of personnel moves that are going to be happening for next year, including 3 major ones. Billy Scott, as rumored and expected, he will be the crew chief for Kurt Busch next year. Woody Barker will be the crew chief for Bubba Wallace. And Dave Rogers is going to be the basically going to be the role advisor of that team next year. Billy Scott had basically Kurt Busch said today in the media center during the test. He said that he has a lot of unfinished business with Billy Scott, so he knows that Kurt Busch and Billy Scott did well together. They only have 1 win, but that came with Kurt Busch. And Woody Barker helped Bubba Wallace become a much better driver. That makes no surprise to me. And Dave Rogers, really cool to see. He's going to be working with 2311, which we'll talk about a little bit more about that. But now we'll jump into the big, big story of this one. So 2311 Racing has officially acquired the charter from Starcom Racing. After all the debate about who was going to get charters, they got the charter from Starcom Racing, and we now believe that two of the Brickware charters are going to end up going to GMS Inspired Motorsports. But seeing that 2311 is going to get a charter, really, I don't know if they've had to pay all the money for that at this time, but this great to see at 2311 is for sure clear. They've got a charter for next year. It's good to see they don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to worry about qualifying in the races. This is a positive move, and they have both their cars set for next year with the funding. And then one of the biggest official and other big official announcements, one of the last major announcements that has happened recently is RFK Racing. That is correct. Roush Fenway Racing is going to be rebranding to Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing or RFK Racing. There have been a lot of speculation about this for a while. They talked about it in the booth, I think, during one of the NBC broadcasts, that they were talking about this move. And now it looks like it is officially 100% happening. This is awesome. This is really, really cool. I love the RFK Racing name overall as a whole, especially since Brad's going to bring a lot to the table for Roush Fenway's team next year. And with all the personal moves he's been making, it's great overall. I'm excited, and that is on RFK Racing. And during that announcement, it was revealed that Scott Grace will be continuing to crew chief for Chris Buescher going into next season. I really do like Scott Grace. I think he was able to help out Chris Buescher win a NASCAR Xfinity Series championship in 2015. So I think he'll bring a lot to the table next year, helping him out. And I'm excited to see that Scott Grace will be crew chiefing for Chris Buescher again next season. And then a couple hours after the RFK announcement was officially revealed, it was officially revealed by Beer Motorsports that Noah Gragson will be attempting Daytona 500 with their organization. If Noah Gragson is able to qualify into Daytona 500, he will actually make his NASCAR Cup Series debut. As Noah Gragson actually did last year attempt the Daytona 500, but unfortunately what ended up happening for Noah Gragson is he got involved in that wreck after Garrett Smithley tried to make that really bold move. Had that not happened, Noah Gragson would have probably been able to make it into the show. But Noah Gragson will be attempting to make the Daytona 500. That'll be very interesting for sure, and hopefully he'll be able to make it with Beer Motorsports, but it does not surprise me that he will be with Beer Motorsports in those select starts. And probably in those other 3 starts that they do run, Noah will probably be in that car. Then, a little bit later, it was revealed by GMS Racing that Jeremy Donnelly will be crew chiefing for Ty Dillon in the Cup Series in 2022. A lot of people probably don't know who Jeremy Donnelly is. And Jeremy Donnelly has been the engineer of the 42 car when guys like Matt Kenseth, Juan Montoya, and Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain have been working under his wings. So, he's been in it for a long time. This will also be his first time, I believe, crew chiefing. I don't think he's ever had any crew chiefing experience. So, it's definitely interesting that Jeremy Donnelly will be the crew chief for the team. I think GMS Racing is definitely making some very interesting and some bold moves to bring some people in who don't have as much experience. So, definitely interesting as a whole, and I'm really excited about that for sure. And then Dave Rogers went on Sirius and NASCAR radio, and he says that Joe Gibbs Racing is planning to downsize their Xfinity Series program from 4 to 3 cars in 2022. What I believe is going on is that you're going to have 2 full-time cars, Ty Gibbs, Brandon Jones, and then the third car is going to be the All-Star car. I assume that either the 20 or the 54 is going to be gone, and I think that they're going to keep the 54 next year. So I think it's going to be the 18, the 19, and the 54 in the Joe Gibbs Racing camp next year. That's what I expect. I know the 20 is a little bit weird to get rid of, considering the 20 has been in the stable of theirs really since the beginning, but I think that they will downsize and will get rid of the 20 next year. And then the really final major story that really has happened up to this point is Hailie Deegan. As someone, a representative from DJR has told TobyChristie.com that Hailie Deegan is expected to return to DJR Racing in the 2022 season in the number 1 car, with Mike Hillman Jr. being the crew chief once again next year for her. I'll say this. Hailie Deegan absolutely deserves another year. She did not have a great year, let's be for real. Her first year in trucks really was not that impressive, to be honest. But again, she is a rookie. She's still someone who's learning a lot. So I want to see her get an opportunity to do better. And hopefully next year she will do better. But we'll have to wait and see on that front. And now we'll talk about the 5 drivers currently that are not in Rise and talk about what's been going on with them. First driver, Zane Smith. Now, Zane Smith, we don't know what's going on with Zane Smith. He's been doing a lot of speculation for next year. He has said that he's not been 100% been clear. He did actually talk about, though, that had Chip Ganassi Racing still been around, he would have been taking over for Kurt Busch next year if Kurt was going to go to 2311 Racing. He actually had a contract with them, and that is why he's really been stuck finding rides, because he couldn't find rides. But when that unfortunately went through, that fell through, it really unfortunately hurt Zane Smith. So it's unclear. He's been teasing like 38 numbers, so maybe he could go to the 38 for front row. We really don't know, but he's the first one we really don't have any notions on at this current moment. The second driver we're going to talk about is Ryan Newman. Now, Ryan Newman, we know, is not returning to Roushman Racing next year. And Ryan Newman said he has not been being called. Now, there has been some teams that apparently we've heard also one team that actually talked to him, and that was Rss Racing, which a lot of people are speculating perhaps is where Ryan Newman could be going in the 2022 season. Which, if he goes there, I'll say this. This is definitely really, really interesting if he ends up going there. But he also can go to the 38 for front row. I think a lot of people are going to be coveting for that 38 car because we've seen how much improvement front row has overall been having. So we're going to have to wait and see in regards of what Ryan Newman's going to do next year. But Ryan Newman's future is unknown. He also could retire. There's been someone that said maybe he was going to retire. We don't know at this time. But Ryan Newman, we don't know what's going on for him. A third driver we're going to talk about is Ryan Preece. Now, Ryan Preece currently at the moment, his future is really unknown. But he is a driver, in my opinion, that is most likely to have a ride for next year of these 5 cars. I think a lot of these 5 will end up having a ride next year. But Ryan Preece has actually had conversations with Hattori Racing and among other teams. And he does go out there and he has a connection with KHI, which is probably overall helping him have an opportunity to get a good ride for next year. So I think Ryan Preece is going to end up in a good ride next year, hopefully in trucks. Hattori Racing would be a great option if that does come into play, and maybe he'll be in that ride, but it's unclear at the moment. The fourth driver we're going to talk about is Anthony Alfredo. Anthony Alfredo, we know, is now returning to Front Row Motorsports. In my opinion, if I'm Anthony Alfredo, I go back down to Xfinity. I know that Anthony Alfredo will probably like the remaining Cup, but there's not a lot of good Cup rides available in the moment. In fact, there's only 4 or 5 viable Cup rides that are available. And are any of them championship contender-ish? No. And I think another year in Xfinity would do great wonders for him. So we don't know what's going on with Anthony Alfredo, but he's the 4th driver. And the final driver that we get asked about is Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto, I'll be honest, I get asked about this a lot. What's going on with Matt DiBenedetto? Where is he going to end up next year? I'm going to tell you all, I have no clue where Matty D is going to end up in 2022. I'm about as confused as you are about Matt DiBenedetto. And I like Matt DiBenedetto a lot in some aspects, but the way he conducted himself, especially that Phoenix, unexcusable. You cannot act like the way he did at Phoenix. And it got to the point where they're literally considering putting, I think, Harrison Burton in the car. His autograph session got canceled because of the tag he was using, and he apologized on social media. So I don't know where it's going next year, to be honest with you. We're less than 3 months away, and we have heard nothing from him. He keeps saying, we've got stuff we're working on behind the scenes, but honestly, I do not know what's going on with him for next year. So maybe we'll get more details on Matty D soon, but I'm unclear what's going on with him for next year. So anyway, that is going to be your 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Silly Season update. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel notification to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links go over that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about all the stuff from the silly season that has happened so far, and what do you think else will happen in the silly season? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.